All right, let's get a mic check 1 2. Let's get a mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. All right, we're gonna get the coaches an opportunity to sign into this week into the PHFL chat. Let's wait until we get our support going. Okay, we see some coaches trying to log in so we can get started. Man, this is our PHFL playoffs for the wild card round. It was. I think honestly, it went as predicted. It wasn't too many surprises. In the wild card round, pretty much the favorites who were scheduled and predicted to win actually won in the wild card round. So we got a lot of segments that we're going to go into. We'll take a look at kind of the wild card. Right now, we do have a live game going, so we'll give you some updates as that game progresses. Right now, it is middle of the second quarter. Actually, they just had I'm assuming a desync. Okay, something happened because it was just 14-14 going into halftime. So again, that is the final spot in the wild card round, waiting on the winner of the Jags and the Buffalo Bills. Again, that score was tied 14-14 going into halftime. Again, a lot of exciting PHFL action as we head into wild card weekend. Let's just take a quick look at the wild card results. Again, nothing, we didn't have pretty much anything that was unexpected looking at the results. I think probably, again, maybe, a couple of games that were close. Again, as we can probably look at it and say you probably figure that, one of the teams, again, may have, we would expect it to probably win by more than what they've won. But again, just kind of looking at it, the Atlanta Falcons, again, they dominated the Philadelphia Eagles 43-21. One of the big focus for the Falcons was Kirk Cousins. So again, Kirk Cousins, we don't want to call it manage the game because he did, throw for 388 yards. Again, only 5 incompletions, so 28 for 33, 388 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions against, again, a talented, but we don't want to call it underutilized. But again, maybe the scheme and the system that it's employed by Coach Teddy with that Eagles team, again, just really doesn't match up for the talent that's on the roster. But again, nonetheless, Kirk Cousins did show up, and they knocked off the Eagles 43-21. This was a game, again, that some of the coaches picked as an upset. I'm not sure why, because again, I think right now the AFC is probably the Chiefs to lose. Again, they dominated the Dolphins 46-17. It had a definite outstanding defensive game plan, only allowing 17 points to the explosive Miami Dolphins offense. Again, Patty Mahomes, they had 3 interceptions, and that's definitely got to be a concern as the level of competition ramps up in the divisional rounds. But again, Mahomes 22 for 34, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And this is probably the surprise of the game, is that Isaiah Pacheco, 13 carries for 129 yards. Now, again, the longest carry was 58 yards. But again, if the Kansas City Chiefs can get that type of balanced performance from Pacheco, and then, of course, they're going to get an excellent performance out of Mahomes, they're definitely going to be a tough team to beat. And again, another game that was, again, just a kind of a back and forth affair. The LA Chargers knocked off the Ravens 38-31. Lamar Jackson, again, you throw 5 interceptions in a game, you should be fortunate to be even, in the game. So Lamar Jackson, again, just didn't have, his typical game, 14 for 25, 195 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Again, just no surprise that the Chargers were able to come out on top, again, when you throw 5 interceptions in a ball game. And then finally, the Detroit Lions, again, knocked off the Seattle Seahawks 52 to 28. Hendon Hooker 32 for 48, 455 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jalen Milroe, again, he had a solid rookie season, so you can't really, blame him. Again, led the team to the playoffs, 8 victories. Milroe 370 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and then 5 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown on the ground. So again, Milroe did have, an excellent, rookie campaign, and I'm not sure whether or not from a development perspective if he's going to dev up. But again, you can't blame Milroe, again, and the sky is definitely the limit for the Seattle Seahawks. So right now, the NFC divisional round matchups they're set. Again, right now we're waiting on the Buffalo Jaguar winner to start on the from the AFC perspective. But again, as we transition and really look at the NFC Wildcard divisional round, again, these are some matchups, ladies and gentlemen, that is, this is going to be must-see. I'm not going to call it must-see TV. I think one of them, again, is going to be definitely a barn burner because these two coaches really, know each other well. And, we're going to start with, again, looking at the Green Bay Packers against the Carolina Panthers. Again, the keys to the matchup, in this game for Carolina, they're going to have to control the ball. It's going to have to be a ball control, game plan. They're going to have to really run 65 to 35 run pass ratio, and then again, take the shots when there's advantageous, situations. Your second and inches. When that 4 down, that you got 4 downs. You don't do it kind of on a 3rd down. Again, you can, that 4th down is going to be tricky. Look for those situations in your 2nd and 2, your 2nd and 1. Look for those deep shot opportunities, in those situations. And then from a defensive perspective, they're going to have to limit the big plays. The Green Bay Packers live on big plays, and if the Panthers can limit the big plays, then that's going to, again, increase their opportunities to come out, with the upset victory over the unbeaten Green Bay Packers. Now, going to the Packers again, they got to jump on the Panthers quick. Let's just not even make it a contest. Let's not even give them this even an inkling of hope in this game. Just jump on them immediately. Also make the Panthers, one-dimensional. Again, that's not the strength of the Panthers. Is again their passing attack. That's not again what they do. And just looking at them from a offensive passing perspective. The Panthers, again, were 23rd in passing yards. So, again, that's just not what they do. They're a top 10 rushing offense. But, again, when it comes to passing, that's not their forte. So that's what the Packers would want to do is just, again, jump on these guys quick, force the Panthers to be one-dimensional. And I think, again, with that one-dimensional, game plan, that's going to make it a lot easier on the Packers to be able to, again, just pull away. And, again, also, again, from an offensive perspective, they got to utilize their speed advantage. Again, they have just weapons galore for the Packers. And, again, when you look at Green Bay, let's kind of look at their skill position. And let's look at, you already know, again, Christian Watson, again, he's a speedster. He's a guy that, again, that can definitely, take the top off the defense. You have to look at Matthew Golden, again, another, player that, again, can, take the top off the defense. Again, you're talking about, speed where it's going to be difficult for the for the Panthers to play a certain type of game plan. So again, Romeo Dobbs with a 92 speed, Matthew Golden with a 97 speed, Christian Watson with a 96 speed. Again, you're talking about two guys literally that you're going to have to keep your eyes on, from just from a deep ball perspective. But then you got the tight end underneath, Luke, Musgrave, who has an 89 speed. So again, that's the real huge advantage for the Packers is to utilize their speed, and then again from a defensive perspective, stop the run. Again, just stop the run, make the Panthers one dimensional, and again they should definitely have some success. And then looking at it from our analytical perspective, so again, this is kind of something new in the PHFL. The analytics are based off of a 1 through 10 ranking, 10 being the highest and then 5 being 1 being the lowest. So again, the offensive advantage is going to go to the Green Bay Packers with a 10. Passing game advantage is going to go to the Packers with a 10. Rushing game advantage is going to go to the Panthers with a 10 versus or 10-1. Defensive advantage is going to go to the Packers 10-7. Coaching advantage, again, we're going to call it 10-10. I think, again, you definitely have to give, kudos to the Green Bay Packers for going undefeated. But, again, you definitely don't want to minimize, what Coach Shump was able to do in Carolina. And then one of the things, again, from our analytics that was a little bit of a challenge is the intangibles, because, again, I believe that Coach Shump has defeated Coach Spot maybe 2 games in a row, but definitely the last game that they played, Coach Shump was able to defeat a Coach Spot team. However, with the prediction, again, I think this is going to be a tough game for the Panthers to be able to win. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up the needed scoring unless they just make it a slow back alley knockdown drag out fight. So we got the final score 44, Green Bay 44. The Panthers 24, and again the analytical score as far as again our analytics, again it has the Panthers or it has the Packers, again not necessarily what the final score was going to be, but again just looking at our 6 analytical scores, ranging again from 1 to 10. Again, the Panthers from Packers from an analytical perspective is again a better team and should come out with the victory over the Carolina Panthers. And then in your second divisional game matchup, again, this is going to be one. I think it's really going to come down to the final quarter. I mean, these two teams, these two coaches, they know each other. Again, unless one of the coaches again kind of bring out something new, they kind of know each other's tendencies just based off of the years of 12-on-12 and just kind of both coaches being familiar with one another. And that is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Detroit Lions. Now, starting with the Falcons, again, the key is going to be ball control. They're going to have to, again, we're looking at maybe a 60-40 run-pass ratio. Kyle Pitts, he is arguably the most dangerous weapon for the Falcons. Again, he's going to have to get at least 10-plus targets. You're going to have to move him, put him in motion, drags, out routes, when you have the opportunity, when you send him deep. Again, you're definitely going to make sure that you have to target Kyle Pitts. Bijan Robinson or Drake London. Again, you got to get 5 targets to Drake London. Again, just a beast when it comes to his overall, statistics. Just looking at him, let's go look at Drake London's stats again, because he's a guy again, has the size. I believe is a superstar wide receiver. So again, the talent is there. So let's look at Drake London on the season. London had 54 receptions for 1,107 yards and 10 touchdowns. Again, averaged 20 yards per reception. So, again, you can definitely send him deep. Now, he did have some drops. He had 10 drops on the season. So, again, he does – I don't want to say he has a habit of dropping passes, but, again, he's 96 jump at 6'4", so you definitely can do some one-on-one opportunities when it presents itself. 95 spectacular catch, 95 catch, and 94 catch in traffic. So, again, you definitely can take some opportunities with London. But, again, looking at him, he has an 84.49 reception percentage. So, again, that's not great. Kyle Pitts, again, he has 108 receptions on the season. They'd have 14 drops with 2,300 yards and 30 touchdowns. So again, the Falcons are going to live and breathe and die with Kyle Pitts. But again, it has to be a good combination. Bijan Robinson has to have 20 touches. That's going to be a combination of run and pass, but he has to have 20 touches. And the Falcons are going to have to pressure Hendon Hooker. They cannot allow him to just sit back with a clean pocket, because if so, then again, it's going to be rare that, Coach Deasy and the Lions, just have a bad play. Again, you got to be able to cook up some blitzes and cook up some pressure packages to be able to kind of knock him off of his spot, because again, you want him to be definitely uncomfortable again in the game. So again, that's kind of the keys to victory for the Falcons. And for the Lions, again, they're going to have to stop the run. That's one thing that's been known from a Coach Deasy, defensive, team, is their inability to stop the run. And again, you're talking about now you're going to be facing an elite running back. So again, if the game plan goes the way that we probably, expect, it's going to be a heavy dosage of Bijan. And if they can't stop Bijan with just their front seven and they leave one-on-one opportunities for Kyle Pitts, that could spell doom for the Lions. But again, first and foremost, because again, the Falcons are they're top, 16th in the league in rushing. But again, you're talking about, a running back in Bijan Robinson, again, he's an X factor, 96 overall, got 91 speed, 81 strength, 97 carries, got a 99 juke move. Again, the first guy's not going to tackle him. So it's got to be gang tackling. It's got to be more than one person that's going to be either, again, making sure they are gap integrity, making sure they're sound of their fundamentals, because again, with the 99 juke, the first guy's not going to stop him. So again, that's the Lions. Again, they're going to have to stop the run. They're going to have to limit their turnovers. Again, they definitely play a safe brand of football, but again, they're going to have to limit their turnovers. Again, Kyle Pitts got to limit the explosive plays, and again, they're going to have to limit the big passing plays. Make the Falcons be methodical and drive the ball, downfield. And looking at our PHFL analytics, again, we have the analytics score favors the Falcons. Again, the offensive advantage goes to the Falcons, 10-9. The offensive passing game goes to the Lions, 10-8. The rushing game goes to the Falcons, 10-5. The defensive advantage goes to the Falcons, 10-7. From a coaching advantage, again, both of these guys are elite coaches. So again, we didn't see any type of coaching advantage one way or another. And from an intangible perspective, again, we didn't see anything from an intangible perspective that would give one team the edge over the other. But when you look at the analytical score, it definitely favors the Falcons. But again, we predict that the loss of Penix, I think that's going to be a little bit too much for the Falcons to overcome. So we're looking at a Detroit victory, 31-28 in a game, again, that's literally going to come down to the last play. Again, probably not the last play, but definitely the last couple of possessions. The game is going to be in the balance. Again, the AFC right now, we're going to look at it from a perspective of if the Buffalo Bills, again, they were the favorites to win. So we're going to look at this and say, okay, you know what? The Buffalo Bills knocked off the Jacksonville Jaguars, and, what is that matchup going to look like? Again, if it is Jacksonville, versus or Buffalo rather knocked off the Jaguars. So now again, let's take a look at the AFC again, just giving you kind of the context of Buffalo knocking off the Jaguars. And again, this game was 14-14 going into halftime. Again, so the matchups in the AFC, if the Jaguar or Bills were able to pull off I wouldn't want to call it an upset because again, Jacksonville is the home advantage. It would be the Jets against the Buffalo Bills. Again, these teams are familiar with one another, faced each other in the regular season. So the keys to victory for the Jets, again, limit turnovers. Again, Coach, Shifty gets into these situations and definitely stays uber aggressive. So I think, again, limiting the turnovers is going to be a key for their victory for the Jets. Again, the Jets and not even the Jets, just Coach Shifty and the offense and defensive staff have to stay poised, have to understand what got us here, what are the keys to our victories previously in our 15 wins, and we have to really just keep aligned to exactly what has got us here. Contain Josh. Again, Josh is going to be Josh. He's going to make big plays. You got to definitely, take that into account. And again, if he does, again, you can't, there's nothing you can do about that. Just tip your hat, move on to the next play. But again, you definitely have to contain Josh. And again, you got to definitely mix up your defensive coverages. Again, you don't want a coordinator to know that, again, man-to-man, was ran the last 10 plays. Okay, let me pull out whip routes. Let me pull out drag routes. Let me pull out things that now I know because I got a beat on what you're doing from an offensive or defensive perspective. So, again, that's going to be the key for the Jets, again, in their matchup. If it is, again, the Buffalo Bills. And, again, looking at the score, it was, 14-14 Buffalo against the Jaguars. The key, again, for the Bills, again, they're going to have to mix up their coverage. One of the things that we've noticed in our film studies is the Bills play 97% man-to-man. And if you give a PHFL coach that type of tendency, heads up, they're going to carve you apart. So, again, they got to mix up their coverage. They have to dominate with Josh. Josh has to be Josh. He has to lead them in passing. Of course, he is. And he has to be rushing. He has to take the opportunity to get outside of that pocket using his escape artist and using all the attributes that Josh possesses. Again, he has to be able to dominate. And then no big plays. You're going to, again, same thing with the Jets with Josh. Same thing that the Bills with the Jets. Again, allow Justin. Again, he's going to get out the pocket. He has 92 speed. He's going to make some plays. But, again, no big explosive plays. Allow your defense, again, to, get into that red zone. And when you do, again, just kind of buckle up when you get into that red zone. Now looking at our PHFL analytics. Again, we have it. This is going to be – we predict this really to be a close game from an analytical perspective. The offensive advantage goes to the Bills 10-8. From a passing game, goes to the Bills 10-8. From a rushing perspective, goes to the Jets 10-6. From a defensive perspective, goes to the Jets 10-7. From a coaching perspective, we kind of rated it even though the Jets again had a better record. But again, there was a couple of games, again, especially that head-to-head matchup where the Bills, came out on top that we just give just a, kind of give that edge or that kind of just looking at it both of it and called it kind of even. And then from a coaching and tangible perspective, we're going to give Coach Yale's just a slight edge 10-8. And from an analytical score, again, the Jets coming out from an analytical +1. And again, overall, as far as the overall matchup, we have the Jets coming out. I think it's going to be an up and down, high scoring game, 44-40. The Jets are predicted to come out on top per Vegas. And again, this is if the Bills come out with the victory. And the second game, again, will be a rematch. I believe they did face off that second time. But again, they're familiar with one another, the LA Chargers against the Kansas City Chiefs. And for the Chiefs, again, they're going to score points. Both of these teams are top 10 offensively. The key for the Chiefs, they got to get at least 2 to 3 stops. They get 2 to 3 stops, and they limit turnovers. I'm just not sure if the Chargers will have enough to be able to keep up point for point with the Chiefs. Again, those games that these two teams played was a back and forth, high-scoring affair, but we're just not 100% sure if the Chargers can match the Chiefs point for point. Coach, Twitch right now offensively is at a he's at a championship level. If he can get 2 to 3 stops consistently throughout the division round and the championship round, the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just, the way we see it. And from the Chargers, again, they got to get ball control. Just utilize their rushing attack with Chubb and Hampton. They got to limit explosive plays. Again, no quick, get or junk plays and giving up, 30, 40, 50, 60 yards, limit explosive plays, make the Chiefs be methodical, working the ball, down the field. They got to win time of possession. Again, you want to be able to run the ball, keep the chains moving, and limit the Chiefs' possession. And you got to keep Mahomes in the pocket. One of the things we've noticed, again, talking with coaches, Mahomes makes a lot of plays outside of the pocket. Again, he makes some plays inside of the pocket, but a lot of explosive plays happen when Mahomes goes outside of the pocket. Again, you want to kind of mix up your coverages and mix up when you're going to contain, maybe, again, throw in some zone blitzes. Again, you're going to have to really be creative when it comes to your defensive scheme. But, again, you got to keep him in the pocket because, again, once he gets outside of the pocket with his, throwing ability, with his running ability, with his arm talent, again, that's just going to be, a tough, again, it's going to be tough on the defense to be able to stay with, with those receivers, when they start to break out, when they start to come back towards the quarterback again with the playmaker option. Again, it just makes it just, extremely difficult to be able to stop, Patty Mahomes, again, X factor, and just looking at, again, his abilities. Again, you just want to, keep him in the pocket. His ability, again, he has the Omaha, again, so he's going to be able to see, when he enters that zone, the offensive line is going to be able to, he got protected, so they're going to block a little longer. He has a long-range dead eye, so again, those balls are going to be going deep. He has gunslinger, so he's going to throw faster animation. He has fearless, so he's immune to, penalties, and then he has pocket dead eye. So again, anything that you can want on a quarterback, again, he has it. So again, the thing that you're going to have to do is limit his opportunities, with the football, and again, keep him inside that pocket. And then from a analytical perspective, our PHFL analytical staff, again, the Chiefs definitely were +7. So again, they have a fairly, sizable advantage. I believe this is probably the most sizable analytic reading of all the divisional round potential matchups. And again, from an offensive perspective, the Chiefs 10-9, because again, the Chargers can score. They're top 5 offense, but again, you give a slight edge to the Chiefs. Again, passing game, we rated it even. Both of these teams are top 5 when it comes to passing. With the rushing attack, again, a slight edge to the Chargers. Again, from a defensive perspective, defensive advantage goes to the Chiefs 10-7. Coaching advantage goes to the Chiefs 10-8, and an intangible goes to the Chiefs just based off of that experience and right now just playing at that championship level. So again, the Chiefs right now again have an analytical score of +7. So again, we have a 47-34. We think again it's going to be a high scoring game. The Chiefs are definitely going to be able to put up some points, but I just don't know from a confidence perspective. Do they have enough to be able to slow down the Chiefs? Are they going to be able to force, some 3 and outs? We don't think so. So again, I think again this is going to be an up and down affair. The Chiefs again, they may come to a point where what we looked at as far as their strategy may have to go out the window, and they may have to just try to do point for point. But again, we just think the Chiefs are going to be just a tad bit, too much for the Chargers. And now, finally, in our final segment, just kind of looking at the end of the year statistics from a team and individual perspective. The Chiefs had the number 1 offense in the PHFL, averaging over 500 yards in offense, followed by the Lions, the New York Football Giants, the Packers, and the Chargers. Again, you're talking about 2 top 5 offenses meeting up in the divisional round with the Chiefs and the Chargers. From a passing perspective, the number 1 passing offense was the Packers, followed by the Lions, followed by the Chiefs, followed by the Chargers, and followed by the Vikings. And from a rushing perspective, The Broncos were number 1, followed by Seattle, followed by the Ravens, the Raiders, and the Jets. From a defensive perspective, the Dallas Cowboys were number 1 in defensive yardage per game, giving up 332 yards, followed by the Falcons. The Commanders were 3, the Packers were 4, and the Patriots were number 5 in total defense. Passing yards per game, the Cowboys were number 1, the Falcons number 2, or the Commanders number 2, the Falcons number 3, the Patriots number 4, and the Packers were number 5. So again, looking at the NFC, or looking at the PHFL, you got 2 of the top 5 offense or defenses right now reigning in the NFC with your Falcons and your Packers. And then on the ground, the stingiest, again, the PHFL is more predicated on passing the ball. But again, nonetheless, your Jaguars were number 1, followed by the Jets, the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Packers. Again, when you're looking at from a total defensive perspective and total offense, again, the Falcons are still alive, followed by the Packers. And then offensively, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Packers, and the Chargers. Again, 4 of your 5 offensive leaders are still alive in the PHFL playoffs. Looking at from an individual perspective, passing yards, again, Jordan Love was number 1 in the PHFL with 7,100 yards, followed by Patrick Mahomes. Surprisingly, J.J. McCarthy, 6,400 yards. Again, this guy right now probably should be a superstar going up. Jackson Dart also should be a superstar, again, with 6,300 yards. And then Josh Allen with 5,900 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes or Jordan Love led the PHFL in touchdowns with 84, followed by Patrick Mahomes. When it comes to interceptions, again, Baker May. I don't know how you throw 60. I don't know how you throw 60 interceptions in a freaking season, but Baker Mayfield, 60 interceptions thrown, followed by Kyler Murray with 57, Lamar Jackson with 55, Tommy Money Millette with 50, and Jalen Milroe with 49. Again, those are your interception leaders, all playing 17 games. And then your touchdown leaders, again, we just talked about this. Jordan Love with 84, Patrick Mahomes with 75, Justin Herbert with 61, Fields with 61, and Josh Allen with 59. So again, all of these quarterbacks right now are still alive in the PHFL playoffs. So again, you can definitely expect those guys to put up some big numbers. When it comes to interceptions in the PHFL, Nick the Quick led the PHFL, was tied rather with Maxwell Harrison with 14 interceptions. Azari Thomas for the Jets with 13, Jazir Taylor for the Chargers with 13, and Devin Witherspoon for the Seattle Seahawks with 11. Looking at sacks for the season, Nicky Bosa with 24, Aiden Hutchinson with 18, Gregory Russo from the U with 17, along with Chop Robinson and Rashawn Gary. Now, looking at Detroit, they got 2 of the top 5 sack leaders in the PHFL, so that, again, could bode extremely well when you're talking about getting pressure on the quarterback. From a rushing perspective, Jaleel McLaughlin for the Broncos led the PHFL in rushing, followed by Rashad White, Bijan Robinson, Trey Benson, and Jaden Blue from your Dallas Cowboys. From a per average, again, just looking at it, some of these have low average, so again, can't really get a good gauge from an average perspective. But from a touchdown perspective, Bijan Robinson with 33 touchdowns. That's a huge amount. Again, he's going to be huge in their upcoming game against the Lions. Derrick Henry with 20, Jadon Blue with 19, Jaleel McLaughlin with 17, and Saquon Barkley with 16. Looking at field goals, Will Lutz, again, is your field goal leader for the Broncos, followed by Cameron Dicker for the Chargers, Eddie Pinheiro from the Browns, and then you have Jason Saunders and Cam Little. Field goals made over 50 yards. Again, Will Lutz led the league with 11, followed by Cam, Jake Elliott, Greg the Leg, and Kai, again, for the Houston Texans. And the longest field goal in the PHFL this year, no surprise, was Justin Tucker, 64 yards, and Brandon Arbery at 63 yards. Now, looking at receivers again, if you can't control these guys, you're literally not going to have a shot. Matthew Golden, 2,900 yards receiving with 34 touchdowns. He's in the playoffs again with a matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Kyle Pitts, 2,300 yards with 30 touchdowns. Again, your eyes as a user has to be on Kyle Pitts. Wherever he goes, I'm going. Anything else underneath, again, you can have it. I'm following him wherever he goes as a user, even if that's not my assignment. I'm going to make it my assignment. Malik Neighbors with 2,100 yards, Xavier Worthy with 2,100, and Jameson Williams. And he can take the top off the defense with 2,081 yards from a average per reception. Again, these were only one game played, so again, it's hard to get a gauge on actually the average. But again, looking at touchdowns, I would imagine Matthew Golden. Yep, he's number one at 34. Pitts at number two with 30. Smith for the Jets coming in at third at 28. Xavier Worthy at 25, and J-Dub at 24. So those are your PHFL statistical leaders. Again, just some great, outstanding performances in the PHFL. Looking at an update from Dade County. Let me look at it. I guess they're having an issue again, so I'm not sure what's going on between Buffalo and the Jags. Again, looks like they're having technical difficulties down in Dade County. But again, we just gave you kind of an overview of the recap of the Wildcard, the NFC Divisional round preview, and AFC Divisional round preview. Kind of went over our stats. I think this has probably been one of the most exciting PHFL season. A lot of great performances. Again, we tried something new with Sim, and I think, again, it definitely, provided some interesting matchups, your ability to challenge some different types of, animation, different types of performances. So I think, again, I think it worked out well for the last couple of seasons, that we tried this new setting, some interesting, results. So, again, we're waiting on one final game before we go into our divisional round matchups. And, again, we will definitely have a special conference championship edition. We'll bring a couple of coaches in the booth to talk about our upcoming NFC and AFC championship matchups. So this is your boy, the old ball coach, signing out live from right outside of Washington, D.C., where it's 72 degrees, little partly cloudy skies. We got the grill fired up with some chicken, some ribs, some shrimp. We got some smoked dogs on there, man. We about to get real busy out here right outside of the city. So this is your boy, the old ball coach, signing out. Peace.